Hey y'all, this is AL Thick Madame, and this is the review for the very first episode of the new season of Greenleaf. Y'all, we're in the fourth season. I have been watching this since the first season religiously. I had like a moment where I had gotten behind by like 3 or 4 episodes, maybe like a season ago or two at the most. And people who I never would have thought cared about the show started watching it and surpassed me. So I was like, nah, bruh, I got to get back on it. So I did that, and ever since then, I make sure to be all the way up on it, and I don't want to fall behind. So yeah, y'all. Anyway, let's get into this recap. So it starts off with some singing. Y'all know a lot of the times the show will come on and Charity will be up there singing, and that's exactly what didn't happen this time, because Charity was right in the crowd with everybody else amongst the congregation watching as another woman was up there doing praise and worship at the church. Her mama, her daddy, all of them was in the crowd except for Grace. Y'all know everybody wants her to become the pastor of the church and don't want the mama or the daddy to have anything to do with it, even though the bishop has actually gifted, I use that loosely, the church to his wife, ex-wife, whatever you want to say it is at this point. So yeah, but they have a plan, and their plan is to use Grace as a way to weasel their way back into the church and regain the power and just everything that encompasses what they want the church to be again. You know, they have to be able to win over the church. You know, that's what I'm trying to say. So yeah, y'all. Anyway, like I said, Charity is in the crowd amongst the people in the congregation looking crazy. Like, you could tell she is very much so out of place, because when she wasn't touring, she was right there leading praise and worship, and she ain't nowhere up there. So she looking crazy in the face, and y'all know she has been doing the most. I understand that she has postpartum, all of that, but y'all, it's a little bit, I don't know if she had a psychotic break, a couple of other things thrown in there mentally, but she is not present for her child. She is not here for nobody. Like, this was a no nonsense dealing with anybody, whether it's a family member or whoever, this episode. So yeah, she ain't here for nobody. So yeah, Harmony and Hope has, taken over, and they end up introducing Grace, and the man Bob, I forgot what his last name is, but he done told her, yeah, make it short, make it quick. I was like, what? That is crazy. Like, what? I'm talking about wasn't no, hey, go get them. Wasn't no inspiration, no nothing. Because this was going to be her first time under a new name. You know what I'm saying? These people that took over. And the congregation does know her, so she is, a friendly face. But at the same time, this is still up under a new regime. So he talking about keep it short. I was like, bruh, if you don't get on somewhere. Anyway, y'all, when the service was over, Lady Mae and Bishop were talking, and, they are not seeing eye to eye. She ain't here for him. He ain't here for her, so to speak. But he is here for her because he wants to get her back. But she ain't here for him because she's not in love at this moment. She's just not. She ain't here for it. And she just wants what she feels is hers, which is the church. She wants to be the pastor of that church. And everything that has gone on since these people took over, it is not sitting well with her. She ain't here for it. So she done rolled up on that man who told her daughter to keep it short. And, you could tell that she was a firecracker, but, I guess because she was at church, she kind of kept it as classy as she could, because she is very much so angry. I was like, Lord, okay. But, before she could, do what she originally set out to do, which was to go roll up on Connie, the deaconess, she killed me. She said, what's his name was like, Bishop was like, where you going? And she was like, to pay my respects to the dead. What she said? Yeah, pay my respects to the dead. And she was referring to Connie. Y'all know Connie. Connie is not here for none of them. She done got tired. So she was in the middle of talking to that man, Bob, and they are all about money. And, you know, Lady Mae was like, you know, that was basically said that was a short service. And, you know, I ain't know that this was a train station or a train schedule that y'all was running around here, because y'all over here talking about, you know, we were able to get people out on time. But it didn't matter because all that money was rolling in. So the deaconess was just like, yeah, you know, I was wondering if we can throw in a third service. I was like, oh my gosh, y'all is doing the absolute most. So anyway, Grace ended up having a meeting with Phil, and that is the guy who, oh, y'all, he played a coach on, oh my gosh, why can't I think of the show? He played a coach. Like, he has so many roles, y'all. I'm fired. Wait a minute. But anyway, the guy who came to them before and was trying to offer them a deal. But yeah, he's like the interim pastor and all that. Like, he's going to be the main one that's going to be up in there, even though, you know, kind of right up under Grace, but not really. Like, I feel like that's the scheme that they're going with, so whatever. But yeah, she went to talk to him, and she was trying to bring Jacob and Charity on board as associate pastors, or in some capacity, you know, mainly that, to be associate pastors for her. He ain't here for it. He was like, nah, we got what we wanted, you know what I'm saying? I don't understand why you trying to bring them on. We already got a Greenleaf, and that's what we need. What makes you think we want to bring other ones on? We already got two of the other ones that we ain't wanted to do with. They already out the door, so what makes you think we want to bring two more on again? So the bishop is determined to figure out what in the world Bob got going on. And when he does, I mean, he plans on setting it off. So we'll see if he figured it out before it's too late, because other people have tried, or before they had a chance to try, they have gotten killed, they have died, their church was taken over, and they were booted out. Like, everything that could happen happened. So he better hope that the little plan they got going on is going to work. And the plan that they have is that for a year, Grace is going to be like the interim pastor. And within that year, after that year is up, they're going to transition and make her the full-on pastor. And then they're going to turn everything over to her mama, as her daddy promised. I don't understand why they think that that's how it's going to go, but I don't know. I feel like it's going to take a miracle for that to happen. And there are a lot of different things that work at this point in time, so I don't know if all that's going to happen. So anyway, Grace is on the phone talking to her newfound brother. Y'all know, Charity's husband's man. And talking to him, and you know, I actually like him. I think his name is Al. Y'all remember last season, the daddy died, and you know, Grace went to see him, and she found out that was her daddy, and that was the secret that her mama had been holding in, because she had had an affair on who she thought was her biological father, who is the bishop. And yeah, that was crazy. The bishop didn't know about all this stuff. And y'all, I was so tired in my spirit last season. I was like, what else can happen, Lord? What else? Y'all done pulled everything out the bag. Like, I don't understand what else y'all could do. So they're talking, and he was just like, you know, what happened today at church? How did everything go? And, you know, they just had their little moment. So I like the fact that even though everybody is of age, like significantly older, not like a preteen or just a teenager, they are of age, and they're being cordial, and they seem to be, you know, trying to be a family. So I'm here for that. So anyway, Jacob and Carissa are talking, and you know, they're having this family moment at the house. You know, they had to move back in with his parents, where everything is free, and they have people, you know, kind of waiting on them hand and foot. So anyway, oh Lord, their daughter, what's her name? Zara, is that her name? She wants to move out, and so she wants to go and live in that cabin that the guy Noah was living in. Y'all remember Noah? Noah was that guy who Grace was like trying to be with, and for some reason they didn't work out. Like, y'all, I got to go back over that again because that guy hadn't been on here in a while. And then he ended up getting with some random woman, and they was gonna get married, and I forgot if they got married, but you could tell he still had feelings for her. You could tell she still, had something for him. So I was just like, what in the world? Like, I don't know. Anyway, they were looking like, nah, we're going to keep our eye on you because of everything that happened with Isaiah last time, whatever. And this girl is like at least 18 years old now and going to leave, go to college or do whatever, but she is of age now to where they can't really run her life like that. So they were like, well, you can go ask your grandma, but I'm sure she's going to say no too. So whatever. Anyway, while they were in the middle of this situation popping off, and then she ended up dismissing herself, his phone kept ringing, and so he ignored the call. So some woman called, and so his wife just set it out to myself. So who was that? Who you ignoring? And, of course, he was like, well, it's not Tasha, so you ain't got to worry about that. So he was like, well, who is it then? And so eventually he told her the name that we saw pop up on the phone, and he had to tell her that it was somebody that is a church member at Triumph. And, it's just the way that Carissa has been acting. My thing is this. I understand that you're upset that your man has cheated on you. This is a pattern that he has had since before this show ever came on. So he been doing this, so I don't understand why you in your feelings like this. You need to get out your feelings. She has a whole attitude. She made me want to slap her. And I don't know, because some people, that's the attitude adjustment they need, a good, nice, firm slap. So I'm like, get over it and move on, or get gone and go do something else with the other guy who wanted you a season or so ago. Like, do that. Anyway, like, for real, she has been irking my soul. Like, this whole episode, y'all, I cannot. So anyway, the guy who is like the interim Phil, I think he's Pastor Phil, I guess we'll call him Pastor Phil, and the guy Bob, they're having this meeting, and they're basically discussing what was said when Grace met with him. And he was like, well, I can understand why she want her family on board or whatever, but yeah, ain't nobody trying to do all of that. And he gonna go out of town and check on some of their other churches and stuff that they took over. And Phil was like, well, do you need me to come with you and we play good cop, bad cop or whatever? He was like, no, I think I got it handled. Whatever, you stay here. Get Grace settled in. I want her settled in by a certain time. So, like, he really want her to be all the way settled in. And the bishop stuff all out. And I was like, oh, why are y'all rushing like that? So anyway, at the Greenleaf house, they're having a family dinner. And so they're talking, and of course the topic of discussion is, are the children going to have jobs? And so she was like, well, I done talked to them, and they ain't here for it, but, the conversation ain't going to be over. I'm going to keep pushing for it. And then Carissa done went off, like, she done went all the way off, and she said, Grace, you're being selfish, and like, she said it all the way off at the dinner table and started cussing a little bit too. I was like, why are you so mad? Like, girl, you doing the most. And Grace got in her feelings and she left. And then Lady Mae was staring at her. So she had the nerve to tell Lady Mae, I can tell you side-eyeing me, and I don't care if you side-eyeing me, because I have earned my keep. I have earned the right to say what I want to say. And all that. I guess because she'd have been married to Jacob and then dealt with Jacob, all his indiscretions and everything he been doing. I'm just like, girl, you doing the most. I felt like Lady Mae was going to snatch her. Ooh, I kind of wanted her to, but it didn't happen. But yeah, that's okay. But anyway, she was just like, look, I've been in this family. I feel like I can have part in this conversation too. So I'm going to say what I want to say, do what I feel. Like, she said it all the way. Wait a minute, let me see if I can. This heifer got her napkin. She's like, I was like, ma'am, if you don't get... She did the most. Like, she did it like I said what I said. I was just like, oh my gosh, girl, you gonna get snatched. So anyway, oh, and then her and Charity got into it. I was like, oh my God, y'all, I was tired of my spirit. So May and Grace are like kind of on the same wavelength a little bit right now, which is not something that usually happens. So everybody is looking like, what's going on here? So they went off and they had their moment, and you know, they are basically on the same page for once. And so Grace is, you know, on edge because she wants to tell the congregation about her secret, the secret. And Lady May is just like, no, I don't want anybody to know about that right now. That's my secret that I've been carrying. And like, you could tell that Grace is really bogged down with this because she wants everything to just be out in the open. So Lady May was like, no, let's just wait until you have that position. And then after you have that position and then everything has been relinquished over to me, then we tell everybody. We can't just tell everybody right now. Which to me, I mean, I get it. It makes sense. But at the same time, it's too much. Y'all, so the bishop is at the house. And it's, you know, about time for everybody to start winding down, going to bed. He done rolled up. And, you know, they don't sleep together. They ain't together like that. And he got his own room. She got her own room. So he done rolled up. And her sliding door is open. And she is getting undressed. And so she has on some, you know, intimates. And he rolled up and he looking like, wait a minute. And then he had to remember what time it was. And so he ended up knocking on the door. And, you know, so she was like, yes, how may I help you? And so, you know, they talking and, you know, he's trying to figure out what he needs to do to prove that he wants to be back with her and all this other stuff. And so she was like, you know, you're going to have to sweep me off my feet. You know, we would have to be married for you to be able to come back up in here because I want to get back in the bed. She looking scrumptious and things to him. Looking real scrumptious. So he was looking like, ooh, what I got to do to come back in here? So, yeah, he done went off about that. And so she is dead set against not really being with him like that because she said the love is not there anymore. She is not in love with him. And since that's not in the picture right now, she ain't here for that. So she was like, you're going to have to find a way to sweep me off my feet in a way that has never been done before. And so he looking like, okay, I got you. I think I know what to do. Y'all, thank you. Y'all, so anyway, Grace is sleeping. And then her phone then went off. And so she gets a phone call and a message that has, you know, been blowing her phone up. And apparently somebody from a jail or prison has called. And she looking mortified. I'm like, who is this? I couldn't even make out what it was said, what the person said. I think they said AJ something. I couldn't make out the rest. But anyway, y'all, if it's what they said at the end of this episode, I'm gonna be real tired of my spirit. Like, this is too much. So anyway, Zora is trying to butter her grandmama up so that she can go on ahead and, you know, have at it at that good old cabin. And so, you know, she basically had to promise that she would still do the Bible, the early morning Bible. What they be doing? Some kind of Bible stuff in the mornings. She had to continue doing that, and, you know, she kind of looking at her like, ugh. But, you know, she kind of, like, promised to do that. So she basically was like, the keys are over there, you can go. So she done went up in there, and she getting her life. So anyway, Noah, the guy who we was talking about before, who he used to, just in case you forgot who Noah was that guy who he used to do, like, security and all that stuff for them. And he had his own, like, little cabin, as they call it, on the premises of the Greenleafs. You know what I'm saying? And that's where Zora wanted to go. But anyway, he keep calling her. So she keeps letting it go to voicemail. So anyway, Charity met up with Pastor Field, and she was like, look, I need to be in on this too. Grace ain't the only one. You know, in all honesty, I am the better of the two of us. So whatever. So basically, to make a long story short, he was like, well, you know, if you be my eyes and ears, I can make it so that you would be a pastor. And, you know, kind of making it seem like everybody would be out and she would be the only Greenleaf in. And so she kind of looking like, I don't know about all that. Hey, y'all, I'm sorry. I had to turn the light on because my natural light outside is going away. It's so sad. Like, if I were outside, I would still be able to be seen. I am not, I don't understand why I show up like I'm so light, and I'm really not light. I'm not the darkest of dark, but I'm not the lightest of light either. I'm not considered a light-skinned person. Anyway, I digress. But yeah, y'all, so she is looking kind of like, Charity looking like, I don't know. Y'all, here we go with the sirens. Here we go with the sirens. I hope everything is okay. Like, every time that happens, I really do hope everything is okay, and it makes my mind go crazy. But yeah, y'all, so let's see what else been going on. So Jacob met up with somebody at the Memphis Red Devils or something like that, y'all. If I'm saying it wrong, y'all know what I'm talking about. He met up with somebody because he had gotten a call. The person who had been calling him was this woman who it really was this random woman who was at the church Triumph, and her son needs a life coach. And he told his wife, this person called, and so she was like, oh, is that a job? She looking like, oh, well, you need to get on that then. I'm like, oh, now you want him to do something. Oh, okay. All right, y'all, I keep stopping because randomly somebody's child keeps yelling as if they really yelling like they're getting killed, and they not. Like, they really just doing the most. I'm just like, oh my gosh. Like, normally I don't really hear stuff like that unless it's a big like celebration. But yeah, this child is really screaming like their throat should be hurting right about now. And ain't nothing wrong, I wouldn't dare just sit by if something really was happening. So anyway, y'all, back to what I was saying. Lord. So he met up with this person, and the woman who was trying to vouch for him was there with him. And so he's kind of trying to pitch himself. And so the man was like, yeah, we heard about you and we know what's going on. And he was like, oh, well, I got exonerated, that situation, that wasn't me, that was basic skanks, and, I got cleared of all that stuff. And so they looking like, yeah, I hear you, but nah, bro. And so he's not currently doing anything, so there really isn't anything to speak of. And so he was like, well, I do have a prospect, working on becoming an associate pastor at, my home church. And so he was like, well, that really would look good if you were able to get that. So work on doing that and then come back and see us, because, yeah, I don't know, this other stuff right now looking a little sketchy. So Grace has met up with Bob yet again and has told him, like, look, if you don't make my sister and my brother my associate pastors, then I'll walk away. And so he was like, well, what's stopping me from just saying, okay, whatever? And so she was like, I know you need me. Every time I talk to you, you always come to me and you talking about how you need me, you need me, you need me. I don't need you. So I know that I have the leverage and you don't. So later on, some things get discussed. But before that, Carissa is at the house and Marisol rolled up on her. Marisol was like, would you like for me to put your things upstairs in your room and put them away? And so she was like, sure, because she had washed and did the laundry or whatever. And so she turned back around and was like, so, Lady May said that she needs for you to do your laundry on these set days, because that's what everybody in the house does on those set days too. And like it was just like, oh my gosh. Like, oh my gosh. And y'all know she is not here for that. I mean, my thing is, I get the fact that you don't want to live with your own mama or your mother-in-law or whatever, but girl, I would do what I had to do until I can get out. Like, she doing the most. I feel like if you play your cards right, help your man to get where he need to go. Do that too, and then y'all will be all right. You can get on out of there and into a house that's not, terrible like it was before. But anyway, I feel like that was so hilarious to me. So anyway, like her attitude, like I said before, her attitude, she has such a nasty disposition at this point. And I'm just like, girl, somebody, she gonna catch the right one and they gonna slap her through a wall. Like, I'm serious, she gonna get slapped Somebody gonna bust upside the head. Somebody gonna do something. A fight is gonna break out. I'm sorry. It's just gonna have to happen. So anyway, after they have, talked, meaning Grace and Bob, they have a little meeting again. And so Grace was like, I had a meeting today with Bob, and I told him that if he doesn't take my brother and my sister, then I walk. And so they look like, okay, so what happened then? And so they were like, yeah. So they said that Jacob can be an associate pastor. And so he was like, see, yes. I knew that's what was going to happen. I knew what was going to happen. So she was looking like, okay, what you talking about? What you got going on? So he was like, oh, nothing. And so Charity looking like, okay, so what did he say about me? And so she was like, well, wasn't that the goal? And so she was like, no. What happened to your job? You said that if he doesn't get both of us, then you walk. So what's going on here? Man, she was like, nah, that ain't what happened. And, I felt like I shouldn't push as much because, it was already a little bit too much as it was. And so Charity snapped. Charity went all the way off. And I was just like, somebody please, no. Somebody please put her in a straight jacket. She went all the way off. She was like, nobody cares about me. Like, she started crying and everything. Nobody cares about me. Nobody came to me and said, oh, I'm sorry that you didn't get this. Nobody came. Nobody cares. Went all the way off. So Marisol or somebody came with her baby and was like, somebody wants mommy. And she was like, mommy's busy. And she proceeded to walk past her and the baby and everybody else and went to the phone and called Pastor Phil and was like, yeah, I'm on board. I'm in. So she gonna sit up there. I feel like what's gonna happen is this heifer gonna sit up here and do all this work and try to spy and do all of this only to get spit in the face again. Because every time she try to do something, it backfires. And I'm like, why haven't you learned your lesson yet? Like, why? Why haven't you learned your lesson, ma'am? So yeah, anyway. Oh my gosh, I cannot with her being a negligent mother. Like, the baby was crying a little bit too. I was like, oh no, you gotta go. Like, I cannot. Somebody gonna have to take that. I hope that somebody in the family gets temporary legal custody or something of that baby, because if they got to depend on her, it ain't gonna work. So no, I'm sorry, that told my nerves up. I was like, what we not finna do is neglect the children. No. So anyway, the last thing that happened was Noah was calling again, right? So Grace finally answers the phone and he was like, where have you been? Why haven't you been answering my phone calls? And so she was like, a lot has been going on. I've been busy. And then he proceeds to say, well, I don't know what's going on, but I got a phone call from an inmate in jail or in prison, and they say it's my son, our son. I was like, wait a minute, what? Wait a minute. Y'all is doing too much in your lives. Y'all is doing too much. So it's like, and then the look on her face, she looking like, ooh, well, nobody's supposed to know about this. Like, this was supposed to be my secret. And I'm just like, girl, you literally are your mama through and through. Even though y'all despise one another, except in this moment, y'all are the same. Like, that's what kills me. Y'all are the same. Anyway, y'all, that was the recap. Hopefully y'all enjoyed this. Hopefully y'all are watching this, because they be doing the most, and I feel like it's gonna get even grittier, even crazier. Y'all, I don't know what to expect out of Charity, because she doing the most. I can't wait to see what the bishop gonna come up with to sweep Lady May off her feet and all that good stuff. Like, I don't know. I ain't seen Rick Fox with his fine self. Rick Fox is fine. He is. Grace be pulling fine dudes. So yeah, anyway, y'all have a good one. Y'all let me know in the comment section what y'all think. Like this if you want to. Subscribe if you want to. Y'all have a good one, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.